Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. I want to share something very special with you. Yesterday, something was brought to my attention that is truly, truly outstanding. A letter, an open letter, drafted by concerned members of the Muslim community, a number of different groups, organizations, directed to the governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The Muslim Society of the Delaware Valley joined the other local Muslim organizations in the Commonwealth as a signatory on that letter. Again, it was addressed to the Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. Let me see if Facebook will allow me to. Oh, no, it's not allowing me to. I have a little icon up here that supposedly allows me to share with groups, but for some reason it's frozen. I had a little difficulty yesterday with the presentation I gave yesterday morning, and I see we're having a little challenge here this morning, starting out as well. I can't help but wonder if it's because of the subject matter. Anyway, the open letter to Governor Shapiro reads as follows. Listen good. Dear Governor Shapiro, we are the Muslim community leaders hailing from all corners of Pennsylvania. We are proud Muslims and Pennsylvanians. We are deeply disturbed and disappointed with your statements in reaction to the recent cycle of violence in Palestine and Israel. You failed to represent, recognize, and respect all Pennsylvanians, despite your rhetoric to the contrary in numerous talks in the last year, some uttered in our houses of worship where we trusted you, or where we hosted you. We are a people of justice and balance. We do not condone violence against civilians, whoever may be the perpetrator. Our faith dictates that we condemn injustice even when it may be done by our own. We value all human life, whatever faith they hail from. There are those of us who have lost family members to airstrikes targeting civilians in Gaza, and they too emphasize a Muslim's most cherished quality is justice. Since last weekend, you have not even once recognized the inhumane treatment of civilians, systematic occupation and apartheid, and dehumanization by Israel against civilian Muslims, Christians, and Druze Palestinians. Not only did you fail to recognize the structural root causes of the conflict, you chose to intentionally ignore the civilian loss of life in Gaza. It is not lost on us that an otherwise promising young politician would ignore these facts. The people of Gaza have been forcibly trapped for decades under abhorrent conditions. In the West Bank, settlers terrorize entire Palestinian villages. Soldiers raid and demolish Palestinian homes. Soldiers murder Palestinians in the streets. And Israeli ministers call for genocide and expulsion. Your statement on Monday, October 9th, 2023, is an effective endorsement of all these policies and the racist, militaristic discourse coming from Israel. We will continue to call you out when you fail and celebrate when you serve. Choosing to ignore and disrespect thousands of Palestinian Pennsylvanians for whom this state has been a home for decades will be marked as a shame on your record. We are used to politicians who visit our communities for photo ops. We thought you were different. We are sad to be proven wrong by our governor. In a spirit of principled conversation and speaking truth to power, we underline our readiness for a meeting with you where we can share more on the dignified people of Palestine, the inhumane conditions they have been experiencing, and the meaning of the Holy Land for our communities. We look forward to hearing from your office. Well done. Well done. I think we can all agree that this is a well-crafted open letter to the governor. And to help my brothers and sisters and Palestine freedom fighters in other cities craft their own open letter to their government officials, let me provide 10 points of attention that may help you in that process. These 10 points of attention come from the heart and mind of your brother Saalakhan. And I would, before I get into the 10 points, I would strongly, warmly, brotherly encourage or make a special request that these 10 points of attention be brought to the attention of the Congressional Black Caucus. I mean, one of the things that I find really disturbing, it irks me to the bone, is to see the kind of go along with the Zionist mentality coming from black spaces and black faces. The mayor of New York City, the senator, a prominent senator in New Jersey, and other members of the Black Caucus. Our sister, who was once a refugee herself out of Minnesota. I mean, this really irks me to the bone. So again, you should bring a similar letter to the attention of whoever your government official is, black, white, Hispanic, whatever, whoever it is, who's on the wrong side of history on this issue. Now, with that said, that my 10 recommended points of attention, just as food for thought. Point number one. Many consider Palestine to be the longest occupation in modern history. Point number two. Point number one raises an inescapable question. Why does the U.S. and the international community support Ukraine in its struggle against occupation, but in Palestine, for decades now, it has supported the occupation, a far more brutal occupation than the world witnessed in apartheid South Africa. Number three, the PLO and the so-called Palestinian Authority recognized Israel years ago. But what of any real substance did they get for it? Nothing. Number four, what is life like in the so-called Palestinian territories? Constant harassment and violence by militarized settlers and IDF soldiers. The constant message being sent that you don't belong here. Point number five. 20 Palestinian communities on the West Bank have been stolen in a brazen act of ethnic cleansing. Number six, reportedly 248 men, women, and children, Palestinian men, women, and children, have been killed this past year on the West Bank by soldiers and settlers with little, if any, accountability. Point number seven, attacks on Muslims and the occasional Christian, the attacks on Muslim and the occasional Christian holy sites by Jewish extremists have become routine. Point number eight. You have a large and growing population of Palestinian men, women, and children imprisoned for nothing more than their resistance to Zionist apartheid. Number nine. In the face of such overt systemic oppression, there has been a shameful but successful campaign of normalization, quote unquote, with Arab countries and prominent interfaith figures from different parts of the West. Clearly, the aim of these efforts has been to break the back of the international BDS movement, boycott, divestment, and sanctions. Number 10. In short, the message has been consistently clear that you, as a Palestinian, are viewed by Zionist extremists as a two-legged animal with no real right to exist on any part of historic Palestine. Now, brothers and sisters, friends, supporters of the Palestinian struggle, this is what led to that violent eruption out of Gaza this past Saturday. Gaza is the epicenter of Palestinian justifiable discontent and resistance. And again, as I noted yesterday in my early morning message, as a committed Muslim and as a caring human being, I do not support the targeting of any innocent person. Not at all. My Islam forbids it. But I understand the context. I understand the conditions that led my brothers who acted outside of their deen, those who are Muslim, to do what they did. Desperation, rage, a feeling of we got to break the back of this oppression by any means necessary. And if if the finger of blame is to be pointed at anyone, it must primarily be pointed at those who are responsible for this brutal, more than 7-decade-old occupation, and those who support it. Those who actively support it, or those who support it with their silence. I should say, and those who support it with their silence. So that's my early morning message for this morning. If you find it to be of any value, please share it with others and become a part of the resistance. Become a peaceful, well-organized, well-disciplined part of the resistance wherever you are. Because silence is consent. With that said, I end my message for today on this issue. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika. La ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.